I need to tell you something about what's upstairs on the top floor as well.
It's fine.
Yeah, okay.
After years of hiding the bodies of her parents upstairs, the truth was about to surface. The facade she had maintained was crumbling, and as the officers approached, the chilling realization hit her. There was no escaping the consequences of her actions. In that instant, she braced herself to confront the reality she had so desperately tried to bury. In a haunting moment of truth, Virginia McCullough revealed everything about her dark crime, the chilling details spilling from her lips like a dam breaking. After years of deception and hiding the bodies of her parents upstairs, the facade she had meticulously constructed crumbled around her. As the police closed in, she felt an overwhelming mix of fear and resignation. No longer able to escape, she faced the horrifying reality of what she had done, ready to confront the aftermath of her choices. The most horrifying revelation came when Virginia McCullough disclosed that the hammer she used to end her mother's life was still lying beneath the stairs, untouched, with her mother's blood staining it for years.
It's in the middle underneath the stairs. It will still have blood on it. It's rusted, but it will still have blood.
It stood as a
traces on it.
silent, gruesome witness to the crime she had kept hidden for so long. This small, chilling detail encapsulated the darkness of her deception, revealing the depths of her betrayal and the extent of her cold premeditation. Stay with me as I take you through every chilling detail of how her dark secret unraveled and what led to this tragic betrayal. You won't believe what's uncovered by the end. Virginia McCullough was a 36-year-old woman from Essex. Details about her personal life indicate that she had a complex relationship with her family. She lived with her parents, John and Lois. They lived in Essex, where they raised their daughter. John was known for his hard-working nature, while Lois was often seen as the nurturing figure in the family. Together, their lives, like many others, were marked by both challenges and joys, contributing to the dynamics within their household. John McCullough. He was a dedicated educator, spending many years working in university education. He was described as hardworking and had a passion for both education and writing. In addition to his professional life, he enjoyed hobbies such as golf and snooker, and he was known for his sense of humor, often sharing jokes with his family. Lois McCullough. Lois was characterized as kind, caring, and thoughtful. She cherished her role as a grandmother and engaged in a lifelong hobby of pen friendship, maintaining connections with friends from around the world for many years. Lois had a strong interest in history and was particularly fascinated by the royal family. She and John loved to take trips to the seaside, where they enjoyed long walks and visits to various attractions. John and Lois were married for many years, and together they raised 5 daughters, including Virginia. Their family life was characterized by close ties and shared experiences, such as frequent family outings to the seaside, which they cherished deeply. The couple had dreams of retiring to the coast, reflecting their love for the beach and nature. Virginia McCullough was involved in various jobs throughout her adult life, primarily focused on the healthcare sector. She worked as a carer, providing support for individuals with disabilities. This role would have required her to assist clients with daily living activities, potentially offering a sense of purpose and responsibility in her life. However, her financial struggles began to accumulate, particularly as she assumed the role of primary caregiver for her parents, John and Lois McCullough. This responsibility was compounded by her parents' declining health, with both suffering from various physical and mental health issues, leading to significant stress for Virginia. She had been managing not only her own economic difficulties but also those of her parents, which contributed to a challenging family dynamic. Despite her work as a carer, the family's financial situation deteriorated, leading to serious consequences that would eventually culminate in tragic events. Virginia McCullough's job insecurity played a significant role in her financial struggles, contributing to the devastating choices she ultimately made. Virginia's employment history appears to have been inconsistent, with no reports detailing any long-term positions. The absence of steady work would have severely limited her income, making it difficult to meet her own financial needs and increasing her reliance on her parents for support. The pressure to find and maintain employment can lead to a cycle of anxiety and poor decision-making, which may have influenced her actions. The combination of financial dependency and job insecurity likely created a sense of hopelessness, pushing her to seek alternatives to address her debts. Due to her job insecurity, Virginia became increasingly dependent on her parents for financial support. This reliance may have led her to manipulate their finances without their knowledge, believing that she could maintain her lifestyle through deceit. Reports indicate that she ran up debts in their names while assuring them that she was managing her finances responsibly. Her dependence likely fueled feelings of guilt and shame, causing her to create a false narrative about her employment status. By presenting an image of success, she avoided confronting her financial reality and the implications of her actions. The stress of job insecurity can significantly impact mental health. Virginia's situation might have led to feelings of inadequacy and failure, which could have contributed to her eventual decisions. The psychological toll of hiding her financial troubles and living a lie may have been overwhelming. Research has shown that job insecurity can lead to increased anxiety, depression, and a sense of hopelessness, which likely played a role in Virginia's deterioration of judgment as her financial problems deepened. Virginia's struggle with job insecurity may have been compounded by a reluctance to seek help. Many individuals facing similar issues often feel embarrassed or ashamed to ask for assistance, leading them to attempt to resolve their problems independently. This isolation can worsen their situation. Instead of reaching out for help, Virginia resorted to increasingly desperate measures to maintain her lifestyle, ultimately culminating in her tragic actions against her parents. Virginia McCullough's job insecurity, characterized by a lack of stable employment, financial dependency, and psychological stress, created a perfect storm that led to her tragic decision to murder her parents. Virginia McCullough's financial troubles escalated over several years due to a combination of poor financial management, deceit, and a desperate need to maintain a lifestyle she could not afford. Virginia's early financial struggles likely stemmed from an inability to secure stable employment. As her job situation remained precarious, over time, Virginia engaged in increasingly manipulative behavior to hide her financial situation from her parents. She used her parents' identities to open credit accounts, which allowed her to maintain the appearance of a normal life. Reports indicate that she charged expenses related to her lifestyle to her parents' credit cards. This included everyday purchases as well as more significant expenses, which she disguised as necessary or trivial. As her debts mounted, so did the pressure on Virginia to conceal her actions. She reportedly accumulated around £60,000 in debt by the time of the murders, creating an overwhelming financial burden. Her lies became more complex. She assured her parents that she was employed and managing her finances well, further entrenching her deception. This behavior not only masked the reality of her situation, but also strained her relationship with her parents. Virginia's manipulation included isolating her parents from friends and relatives who might have raised concerns about their well-being or financial status. This isolation allowed her to continue her deceit without interference. Throughout this period, Virginia worked to isolate her parents from family and friends, which limited their opportunities to discover the truth about her financial situation. She fabricated excuses for their absence and manipulated situations to ensure her parents remained unaware of the reality of their circumstances. The COVID-19 pandemic provided her with a convenient cover, as it enabled her to further restrict interactions with the outside world. Virginia used the pandemic to her advantage, claiming her parents were unwell or away, thus avoiding scrutiny from concerned relatives. As the financial strain increased, so did Virginia's desperation. To maintain her lifestyle and prevent her parents from discovering the depth of her financial troubles, she resorted to extreme measures. This ultimately led to the tragic decision to murder her parents in June 2019. John McCullough, an elderly man in his late 70s, lived with his wife Lois in their home in Essex, England. In the years leading up to his death, John faced health issues and Virginia manipulated circumstances to isolate her parents from the outside world, which contributed to a lack of oversight regarding their well-being. In June 2019, Virginia began her calculated plan to poison her father. She mixed prescription medication into John's alcoholic drinks, effectively administering a slow-acting poison. This method allowed her to mask her actions, creating the appearance that he died of natural causes related to his age and health issues. John's death was reported as being caused by health complications, as Virginia was able to fabricate a narrative that aligned with the natural decline associated with aging. Friends and family were led to believe that he had simply passed away due to old age and existing health conditions. The death of Lois McCullough occurred in the aftermath of her husband John's death. After poisoning her father, Virginia's actions toward her mother escalated from manipulation to direct violence. Reports indicate that Virginia used a hammer and a knife against Lois in June 2019. This shift from a more insidious method to overt violence suggests a breakdown in Virginia's mental state and a desperate need to eliminate any remaining witnesses to her earlier deception. By early 2023, John and Lois McCullough had not been seen by neighbors, family members, or healthcare professionals for an extended period. John, in particular, had been absent since 2019. Lois had also vanished from public life not long after, prompting growing concern. Despite Virginia McCullough's attempts to provide excuses for their absence, such as claiming they were traveling or ill, the prolonged disappearance raised alarms within their social circle. Both John and Lois had routine healthcare needs due to their age, and they were under regular medical supervision. However, as time passed, they began missing medical appointments without explanation. This further added to the suspicion that something was wrong, especially since it was uncharacteristic of them not to communicate with healthcare providers. Healthcare professionals made attempts to contact them, but were unable to get any direct response. In the years leading up to the discovery, Virginia had become more isolated from the community. She avoided interactions with neighbors and relatives, and there was little to no social activity around the house. Her increasingly reclusive behavior raised red flags and made people even more curious about the well-being of her parents. By January 2023, the prolonged absence of John and Lois McCullough had triggered concern among healthcare professionals, family, and the community. For several years, the couple had been missing from public life. Virginia McCullough, their daughter, had offered vague and inconsistent explanations for their disappearance, claiming they were either unwell or unable to leave the house. However, these responses failed to satisfy those who knew the couple well. Healthcare professionals, who had been monitoring the elderly couple's health, were the first to notice something was amiss. Neither John nor Lois had shown up for their regular checkups, which raised red flags, particularly given their age and medical history. After multiple failed attempts to make contact, medical staff became alarmed. Virginia had kept her parents isolated from the outside world, making excuses to explain their lack of presence. She consistently claimed that they were either too sick or had left the area temporarily, which made it difficult for healthcare workers or other concerned individuals to visit. This increasing isolation only added to the growing suspicion. On January 19, 2023, police officers were dispatched to the McCullough home in Chelmsford, Essex. Their objective was straightforward: to ensure that John and Lois were safe and well. Officers knocked on the door, and Virginia answered, offering excuses for her parents' absence once again. However, her answers lacked credibility. She claimed they were either unwell or unavailable to meet with anyone, as she had done for years prior. However, the officers were not satisfied with her responses. Given the long absence of John and Lois, along with the suspicious environment in the home, they decided to proceed with a search. The interior of the house appeared neglected, and there were no signs of John or Lois living there recently. This was her final moment. Virginia McCullough stood paralyzed as the police entered her home, the weight of her horrific secret crashing down around her. After years of hiding the bodies of her parents upstairs, the truth was about to surface. The facade she had maintained was crumbling, and as the officers approached, the chilling realization hit her. There was no escaping the consequences of her actions. In that instant, she braced herself to confront the reality she had so desperately tried to bury.
I need to tell you something about what's upstairs on the top floor as well.
It's fine. Yeah, okay.
In a haunting moment of truth, Virginia McCullough revealed everything about her dark crime.
My dad's body's in there.
Right, okay. Where we find your mum?
Okay, so upstairs there are about 5 wardrobes.
Yep.
It's behind the bed, but back next to the sink.
She managed to live with the bodies of her parents for nearly 4 years before their discovery. After years of deception and hiding the bodies of her parents upstairs, the facade she had meticulously constructed crumbled around her. As the police closed in, she felt an overwhelming mix of fear and resignation. No longer able to escape, she faced the horrifying reality of what she had done, ready to confront the aftermath of her choices. The most horrifying revelation came when Virginia McCullough disclosed that the hammer she used to end her mother's life was still lying beneath the stairs, untouched, with her mother's blood staining it for years.
It's in the middle underneath the stairs. It will still have blood on it. It's rusted, but it will still have blood traces on it.
It stood as a silent, gruesome witness to the crime she had kept hidden for so long. This small, chilling detail encapsulated the darkness of her deception, revealing the depths of her betrayal and the extent of her cold premeditation. The grim discovery of John and Lois McCullough's bodies in their own home marked the start of a detailed investigation, where Virginia would later admit to having lived with their remains for years, covering up their deaths from everyone around her. During the initial stages of questioning, Virginia struggled to provide a coherent or consistent explanation for her parents' deaths. Investigators sought to understand how long the couple had been deceased and why Virginia had not reported their deaths. She gave a variety of conflicting accounts, which further deepened police suspicion. Eventually, Virginia admitted that her parents had been dead for several years, and she had continued to live in the house with their remains. When questioned about why she concealed their deaths, Virginia suggested that she had been overwhelmed by her circumstances and unable to deal with the reality of their passing. However, this did little to explain the full extent of her actions, including her financial misuse of their names after their deaths. The police investigation uncovered evidence of Virginia's financial struggles, including substantial debt that had accumulated over the years. Investigators found that Virginia had taken out loans and used credit cards in her parents' names after they had died. This financial motive provided a potential explanation for why she had not reported their deaths, and had instead hidden their bodies to maintain access to their assets. Despite Virginia's partial admissions, the police charged her with the murder of her parents. The investigation concluded that she had acted with intent to cover up their deaths for financial gain, leading to her eventual arrest and prosecution. The case garnered significant media attention and left the local community in shock. Neighbors and friends expressed disbelief that such a tragedy could occur within their community, highlighting the tragic breakdown of family relationships and trust. The investigation included a thorough forensic examination of the bodies. Autopsies were conducted to determine the cause of death for both John and Lois, with toxicology tests revealing the presence of drugs in John's system, consistent with poisoning. The violent nature of Lois's death was also established during the investigation. Detectives collected various forms of evidence from the home, including medications, financial records, and other documents. These records revealed Virginia's financial struggles, including debts accumulated in her parents' names, which painted a clearer picture of her motives. Following the investigation, Virginia McCullough was charged with the murders of both her parents. In November 2023, she was sentenced to life in prison with a minimum of 30 years before being eligible for parole. Virginia McCullough's tragic story offers several important life lessons, particularly on how unresolved personal struggles, especially financial and mental health issues, can lead to devastating outcomes. Here are the key takeaways and suggestions for how similar issues might be addressed. 1. Recognize the warning signs. Seek help early. When facing financial difficulties or mental health issues, reaching out for professional help is crucial. Financial counselors and therapists can provide support before the problems spiral out of control. Friends and family should also be encouraged to speak up if they notice warning signs in someone's behavior. 2. The dangers of isolation. Virginia isolated herself and her parents from the outside world, cutting off family and social ties. Isolation, whether self-imposed or enforced, can create a harmful environment where individuals lose touch with reality and feel trapped. Solution: stay connected. Maintaining strong social connections with friends, family, and community can help prevent feelings of isolation. It's important to reach out to others during difficult times and not face challenges alone. Support groups, community centers, and online networks can provide a lifeline in moments of need. 3. Mental health is a priority life lesson. Virginia's inability to cope with her parents' deaths, combined with her financial struggles, points to deep mental health issues. Instead of addressing these challenges, she chose to hide the reality, which only worsened the situation. Prioritize mental health. mental health should be taken as seriously as physical health. If someone is showing signs of mental distress, such as isolation, erratic behavior, or overwhelming stress, it's essential to encourage them to seek therapy or professional counseling. Early intervention can prevent the escalation of mental health crises. The consequences of financial desperation. Life lesson. Financial desperation was a key factor in Virginia's decision to conceal her parents' deaths and misuse their identities. Debt and financial mismanagement can cause people to make irrational decisions that lead to tragic consequences. Address financial problems directly. Financial literacy is essential for avoiding debt traps. If someone is struggling with debt, they should seek help from financial advisors or nonprofit debt counseling services. Bankruptcy, budgeting, or restructuring debt may be difficult options, but they are much better than resorting to criminal acts or covering up problems. 5. The importance of transparency. Virginia's decision to hide the deaths of her parents and continue living with their remains for years highlights the destructive nature of secrecy and deception. Facing difficult truths head-on, though challenging, is often the only way to resolve situations. Thank you for watching. If you found this story insightful, please like the video and subscribe to our channel for more true crime content. Your support helps us continue to share important stories.